first day of Ramadan. And then the second one is by sighting the moon for the person who sees it. This is on an individual basis. So there might be a person that he goes out to 3 Aqaba, or he goes out to sight the moon, and he sees the moon by himself without making a public announcement. So now Ramadan becomes compulsory upon him as an individual, not necessarily on the community. Unless he goes to the Hakim, he goes to the ruler or the Imam or the judge, and he says, "Oh Hadrat al-Qadi, oh Honorable Qadi, I have seen the moon." And then if the Qadi now deems him to be an upright person and he sends out a notice, then it will be for the entire community. But number 2 is speaking about a particular person himself, even though he might be a sinner. And we spoke about what is a sinner and how is a person deemed a sinner and not a sinner. Then number 3 is what we generally used to. A person, he sees the moon and he goes to the judge and he testifies that he saw the moon, and then if the judge accepts his testification or his testimony, then he sends out a notice, and then it becomes compulsory upon the entire community. Now, number 4 is the informing of a just person. Now, a person comes into the masjid and he informs us. Again, it's not a public announcement, rather it's to a certain group of people. And he comes and he informs 1 or 2 people or group of people that he has seen the moon. And if we believe this person, and rather if he's an upright person, we know him to be an upright person, he doesn't tell lies, he's known to be a person of taqwa and iman, and he's known for ibadah and connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then immediately when he informs us, and then it becomes compulsory upon us as well. Then is the difference if the person that's informing us, and this again is not the person going to the judge and informing the judge, and now it becomes a communal obligation or upon the entire community. No. We're speaking about the scenario we gave last week was if a person were to come in this masjid and he tells the jama'ah in the masjid, I went to 3 Aqaba and I saw the moon. So would it be Ramadan for us or not? Then we'll first look at the person himself, the person that's informing us. Is he an upright person or not? If he's an upright person, whether we believe him or not, it's compulsory upon us, Ramadan tomorrow. If he's not an upright person, if he's a fasiq, a sinner, and then if the person that believes him, he feels within his heart, no, this could possibly be true, then it becomes compulsory upon him and the person that saw the moon. Now, the number 5 is somewhat of a very scarce scenario. A person is in a situation where he has no information about what's happening outside. He has no means of coming to know whether Ramadan has entered or not. He can't see the moon. The example the fuqaha give is a person is in a jail or is in a place where he can't see the moon, and he makes ijtihad basically. So he perceives with what is available to him. So he either calculates, and he calculates with time or the passing of certain events, and then through that he either he perceives that Ramadan entered or not, and then he fasts. Now, so that's what we covered last week, and alhamdulillah, most of us, we generally just rely on the announcement to be made, and nowadays it's even more easier. It becomes on the WhatsApp or people's on statuses, and it's forwarded, and so many means of coming to know whether the moon has been sighted or not. But it's good to know the ahkam pertaining to this. Now, and this is important for us to understand, because many a times we read certain things in fiqh and then we think, when is this ever going to happen? Trust me, it will happen one day. And then you'll be in a situation and say, alhamdulillah, okay, we read this the other night and now we know what to do, insha'Allah ta'ala. So this week, inshallah, we're continuing and we're going to discuss the shurut, the conditions for the validity of fasting. And here, these shurut, these conditions, you could translate it as conditions or prerequisites, for the validity of fasting is not restricted to Ramadan. Any type of fasting, these shurut, these conditions must be fulfilled in order for your fast to be valid. What are these shurut? The first thing he mentions is Islam. The person must be a Muslim. Number 2, he must be a sane person. Number 3, the person must be pure from hayd, and what can be connected to that is nifas. This is peculiar to females. And number 4 is he must have knowledge of its appropriate time. We'll speak about each one in a bit of detail, inshallah ta'ala. The first one is Islam. Fasting won't be accepted from a non-believer. Why? Because fasting is reliant on an intention. And the intention has to be for Allah. And if they don't believe in Allah, and then they won't make the intention for Allah, and therefore the fasting won't be valid. And we mentioned last week, even though the non-believer, he is mukhatab bi-shari'ah. He is, the rulings of Islam applies to him. But not, he won't be held accountable in this world. He will be held accountable in the year after. This is if the sound message of Islam has reached him while he was at the age of puberty, baligh, aqil. And then if he still did not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we won't take him to account apparent in this worldly life. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take him to account in the year after. And what's the dalil for this? Allah says in the Quran, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. He speaks about the non-believers, and they will be in the fire of Jahannam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they'll be asked, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. What has caused you to come to Saqar? Saqar is the name of Jahannam, one of the pits in the fire of Jahannam. And then they will say, قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ وَلَمْ نَكُنْ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. We never prayed salah, and we never gave zakah, and so on and so forth. They didn't say that, I didn't know I'm supposed to make salah, or I didn't know I was supposed to give zakah. No, they knew, but they didn't believe, and they didn't do. Therefore, they'll be held accountable by Allah in the year after. But as for the parent, if we were to be an Islamic state, we can't take him to Islamic court and force him to become Muslim. If not, and then there's certain repercussions to that. However, what we're speaking about here is the validity of the fasting. So does it apply to the non-believers? It applies to them. But we won't be able to take them to account in this world. However, even if they were to fulfill all the necessary, according to the apparentness of fasting, abstaining from eating, abstaining from drinking, and even if they wake up for suhoor and they have suhoor, it won't be valid. Because the intention won't be sound, and therefore the fasting won't be accepted. In the footnote it says, a non-Muslim will be asked to fast, or not be asked to fast, nor would it be valid if he did, though he be punished in the next life for not doing so. And that's what we discussed what is discussed now. So number 1 is Islam. So the person has to be a Muslim. And many times we find we have colleagues, perhaps you have close friends, maybe they not Muslim, and they say, no, I'm going to fast with you. Outwardly they're causing themselves hunger. Right? But it's nice, inshallah, through that action, inshallah, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause him hidayah, give them hidayah. But will it be accepted from them? No, it will not be accepted from them. Number 2 is a person has to be sane. What is excluded from a sane person is a majnoon person, an insane person. Meaning that it won't be valid from him, even if he were to fulfill all the requirements of fasting. Why? Because he, number 1 is again not mukallaf, and it requires an intention, and he in that state he won't be able to make an intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now number 3 is the purity of hayd and nifas. It's not mentioned in nifas, I think he mentions it in the footnote. A woman whose period ends during, it doesn't mention it over here. He only mentions in the actual text, he says purity from hayd. So there's obviously the monthly cycle for our female, and what is connected to this is nifas, postnatal bleeding. It takes the same ruling. So the female, even if actually the Sharia does not want her to fast. It's not valid for her to fast, and she's not encouraged to fast. What the Sharia requires for her to do is not to fast. However, it's still out of ihtiram for the month. It's better for her not to eat in front of people. Why? Because people don't know that she has a hayd, and people might just start spreading rumors and ittihamat and accuse her of certain things. So it's better for her just to, and also out of respect for the month, if she wants to eat, she eats in secret. No. So the purity from hayd and nifas. No. So obviously for a lady that experiences a hayd, she doesn't have to repay in the salah that she has missed or that she couldn't have made while she was in a state of hayd, but fasting she has to pay in. She has to pay in the days of hayd. And if a lady were to experience her menstruation while she is fasting, immediately her fasting is nullified, invalid, and she has to make qada, has to make the qada of that day. No. So number 4 is knowledge of its appropriate time. And what is meant here over here is that the person that is fasting should know that that time, the fasting is able to fast in that time. What does this mean? This means that the entire year he can fast how he wants to. Actually, Nabi Dawud ﷺ was said to have fast every second day. And this is the hardest type of fasting that the Sharia mentions. Imagine, one day fast, one day break your fast. One day fast, one day break your fast. One day fast, like that for the entire year. Allah. That's takes some hard work, huh? So meaning the entire year you can fast, except for a few days. The 2 days that is consensus throughout the madahib and throughout the by all scholars, is that the 2 days of Eid, you can't fast on the day of Eid. It won't be valid and won't be accepted. Alright? You can't fast on Eid. It's the day of eating and enjoying yourself. Alright? And then also in the new madhab, the new opinion in the Shafii madhab, is they add in there also the days of Tashriq. So the 13th, the 14th and the 15th of Dhul Hijjah, also these are days you can't fast, because Rasul ﷺ said the days of Tashriq are the days of Mina. It's the days of eating and drinking. So those are the 3 days, so the 5 days of the year that you can't fast. Other than those 5 days, any day of the year you want to fast, you can fast. So that's what he means here. Number 4 is knowing or have knowledge of its appropriate time. It's appropriate to fast in this time, meaning that if you fast in this time, your fasting will be valid. So that's in a more general sense, fasting, whether it be fard or sunnah. Is there a fard fast out of Ramadan? Yes, there is a fard fast out of Ramadan. What is the fard fast out of Ramadan? Qada. Qada is fard. So a person, male or female, if they missed a day in Ramadan, they have to pay it in outside of Ramadan. That qada is fard. That's a fard fast. Also, there's another type of fard fasting which is called a nadhr. A nadhr is an oath. So, a common practice amongst Arabs more so, is they would take an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order for Allah to answer their dua or to give them what they desire. So, an example that they normally make in the books of fiqh is that if a person has a relative that is sick, so they will say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives complete shifa to my relative, I'll fast 3 days. So they take an oath by Allah that if Allah gives them what they're asking for, they'll fast 3 days. There Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives shifa to the person. Oh, no, it's fast 3 days. Wajib. Compulsory. Meaning if you don't, it's on your neck on the day of Qiyamah. And you have to pay it before you pass on. So that's another type of fard fasting. Another type of fard fasting is a kafara. No. A kafara is a type of expiation. And either you have a kafara udma, that's the great expiation that was connected to the fasting of Ramadan. If a person breaks his fast in the day of Ramadan with conjugal relations, that's called the kafara udma. And we'll speak about that. It's a separate chapter to speak about that. And then there's another kafara that's mentioned in the Quran, which is the kafaratul yameen. A person that takes an oath or a promise, he makes a promise, and then he breaks his promise. Then he has to fast 3 days. No. How does the ayah go? No. فصيام ثلاثة أيام ذلك كفارة أيمانكم إذا حلفتم واحفظوا أيمانكم. That's the end of the ayah. And so Allah says in the Quran that you have to fast 3 days if you go against your yameen, you promise, your oath that you took. واحفظوا أيمانكم. So that's just in terms of different types of fasting, in the fard fasting. Sunnah fasting, there are so many sunnah types of fasting. Some are connected to time periods, some are connected to special days, some are connected to the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's just the door for fasting, supererogative fasting is vast. Okay, the next chapter is the conditions for fasting becoming wajib, and this is more connected to Ramadan. When does the fasting of Ramadan become wajib upon a person? The conditions for fasting becoming wajib are 5, again Islam. So the fasting won't be wajib upon a non-believer, even whether it is the believer is a asli, a kafir asli, meaning he was never a Muslim, or a murtad. A murtad, Allah protect us. So a person, if he leaves the fold of Islam, fasting won't be wajib upon him in that state, that is in the state of non-belief. However, he will be asked to return to Islam and fast. But in that state, it won't be wajib upon him. So the first thing, the meaning of the fasting of Ramadan will be wajib upon him. No. Then the second one is the person has to be mukallaf. So mukallaf, as we mentioned in the previous chapters, the mukallaf is a person that is baligh aqil, person that has reached the age of puberty, and that he is insane, basically. Oh, sane. He is sane. Now, he has sanity and puberty. He's reached the age of puberty and he's sane. That person is called mukallaf. Mukallaf is translated as duty bound. In the footnote he says here, a child of 7 is ordered to fast, and at 10 he's, that's a heavy word to say, beaten, but he's reprimanded with a hand for not fasting, not severely, but so to discipline the child, and not more than 3 blows. So this is in terms of when it becomes compulsory. Would it be valid though, of a child that is maybe 7 years old? Yes, it will be valid. Validity is something a person just needs to be at the age of discernment. He must be mumayyiz. When he's mumayyiz, his ibadah will be valid. Here we're speaking about when it becomes compulsory. So it's only compulsory once he's mukallaf. However, the child should be encouraged from a young age. And mashallah, here in Cape Town we have a beautiful tradition. A person, or a small child from the age of maybe 5, 6, already teach them how to fast half day. It's nice, it's beautiful. They get used to fasting half day. Next year they fast full day, maybe 3, 4 days. They come to the age of 7. That's something they're used to. Now the father tells him, no, you're 7 years old now you must fast. And now they fast all month. Or they tell them, yeah, but the master is going to give you a nice certificate and a basket, and the guys fast all month, mashallah. And that's how when they become to the age of mukallaf, they're used to fasting already. So they should be encouraged. And this is an analogy made on the hadith when Rasul said that when your children reach the age of 7, you must command them to make salah. So salah is an integral of Islam. And like that, fasting is an integral of Islam. One of the arkan of Islam is fasting. So the same will apply to fasting. Even though Rasul didn't mention the word fasting in the hadith, the same ruling applies to fasting. Meaning, when the young boy reaches the age of 7, he must be ordered to fast. And when he reaches the age of 10, he must be reprimanded physically, or be disciplined physically. And obviously that has to be done with hikmah, with wisdom. Now, and also we must understand that the Sharia will never command us or encourage us to do something except that there is benefit in it, if it is done within the boundaries of the Sharia. So that's mukallaf, the person has to be mukallaf. And then number 3 is, he must have the ability to fast. So one is capable of bearing the fast. That's what is intended over here. So 2 people or 2 types of people will be excluded over here, which is the person that reaches the age of extreme age, who is very old, to the degree that he doesn't have the capacity to fast physically. Maybe he doesn't have comorbidities, maybe he doesn't have any sickness. However, he just physically can't fast because due to his age. So then he falls out of the bracket of having to fast on a compulsory basis. Now, so that's the first person. The second person would be you have the capability or the ability according to Hissan. That's your physical ability. There would be another situation where the Sharia deems a person incapable of fasting. And we mentioned this previously, which is a female that has a menstruation. Yeah, she is physically able to fast, but because of a menstruation, the Sharia causes her, or deems her incapable of fasting. She can't fast. So that's called a mani' shar'i. The Sharia prevents her from fasting. Now, I mean, he says, yeah, and one is capable of bearing the fasting. Someone who is fasting exhausts because of advanced years or having an illness from which he is unlikely to recover or not required to fast. Now, what is a group of people under here is also a person that has a chronic illness. Diabetes, certain types of diabetes also, and also a person that any chronic illness. The doctor says that no, they can't fast, and that they have no hope of being recovered from this fasting, of this disease. A doctor told me once that there are certain types of diabetes that's curable. Dr. Munib Qaida, he's a Musalli at this Masjid, and he said he saw to his own eyes how people they change their diet and their lifestyle, then they become cured of diabetes. But he said there's one type of diabetes that there's no cure for it as yet. So if we were to say that there's a type of diabetes that there's no hope for the cure of, and the person cannot fast, and then the fasting won't be wajib upon this person. Number 4 is health. And this is different to the point number 3. How so? The person might not be old age, he might not have a chronic illness. However, at the time he's supposed to fast, he falls ill. He becomes sick. And if he were to fast, the doctor tells him, if you're going to fast now, you're going to experience one of the 5 things that allows him to perform tayammum. So what does tayammum have to do with this chapter? Throughout the chapters of fiqh, the scholars use this as a yardstick to see whether you are able to do the action or not due to your illness. So for example, the first time they mention it in the chapters of fiqh is in the chapter of tayammum, the dry ablution. So they say a person might have a skin disease or he might have a wound, and if you were to use water, one of 5 things just might happen. If one of these 5 things happen, then you shouldn't use water. What are the 5 things? The first thing is, if he uses water, he fears he's going to die, or it's going to cause him to die. The second thing is, if he uses water, the sickness or the illness or this wound is going to get worse. Then he shouldn't use water. Number 3 is, if he is going to use water, the duration of his sickness is going to become longer. Then he shouldn't use water. Number 4 is, if using water is going to cause a different sickness or bring about sickness, then he shouldn't use water. And the 5th thing is, if you were to use water, then a blemish or ugly wound or mark will appear on one of his apparent limbs. So those are the 5 things. They use it as a yardstick. Can the person do the action now whilst he is sick or not? So with that being said, how does it apply to the book, the chapter we're studying now, fasting? So here we have a person, he wants to fast. He's sick. He goes to the doctor. The doctor tells him, if you're going to fast, the duration of your sickness is going to become longer. So now that's one of the reasons now that will cause him concession. It won't be wajib for him to fast. Or the doctor will tell him, you're going to fast now, you're going to get more sick. You're going to get worse. The condition is going to get worse. Then we tell him, okay, rather take a rest, then make qada after the fast. So in this situation, number 4, the person is maybe he's physically not at age, he doesn't have a chronic illness, but in the month of Ramadan he falls sick. The doctor tells him, don't fast, you're going to get worse, or the duration of your sickness is going to be longer, or if you're going to fast, more sickness is going to come about, or you might even die. Well, then rather don't fast. Now, number 5 is muqim. A person must be a non-traveler. Some of the guys like this one. They're traveler, don't have to fast. People, mashallah, go for umrah, and I'm traveling now, don't have to fast. Inshallah. Now, yes, you don't have to fast. The Sharia says you don't have to fast. However, there are conditions. There are conditions that need to be met in order for a person to be absolved from fasting on a compulsory basis when he is a traveler. So muqim is a person, not only a person that is in his locality. And that's why I said in brackets here, non-traveler. You become a non-traveler if you're in a particular place for more than 4 days, no? Excluding the days of arrival and exit. Then you become a muqim. So for example, if you were to go on a nice Euro trip, or you go to Johannesburg, whatever the case may be, and the duration of your stay in Johannesburg is 6 days. So now you arrive on Monday. You're staying there for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday you leave. Alright? So you were to count that, it's 4 days without the day of arrival and day of exit, and then you can still break your fast. However, it's longer than that. Immediately when you land in Johannesburg, you become a muqim. Then you have to fast all the days, except for the days of travel. Now, but on the days of travel also, when can the person fast? He says here in the footnote, number 9, it is permissible not to fast when traveling, even when the intention to fast has been made the night before. So you made the intention, I'm to fast tomorrow, came to Taraweeh, mashallah, with the Jama'ah, Nawaitu, Sawma Ghadin, and Adai, with the whole Jama'ah. But tomorrow you're traveling. So tomorrow you travel, can you still break your fast? Yeah, you can still break your fast. When? Provided that the journey is at least 80.64 kilometers, marhalatain. Some scholars say 83. That's the normal distance we used to hearing. 83 kilometers, 82 kilometers. Here the author, or rather the person that translated, in the footnote he said 80.64. Certain scholars say 79 kilometers. That's considered safar tawil, marhalatain. Then you can make jam in qasr. So when you can make jam in qasr, then you can also break your fast. But that's the first condition. The second condition is that one leaves town before dawn. He has to leave before Fajr. If you leave after Fajr, come on, break your fast. Must puasa. Must fast, you must puasa. That's according to the Shafee mother. That's according to the Ismail looking at me like, what's this guy saying? Now that's according to the Shafee madhab. No. So that's the two conditions. No. So these, it might just be a bit something new for us to understand, but the way the book is structured would have done the bab or the chapter of qasr and jam, so shortening the prayer and bringing the prayer together, and this explains us in all detail. When you leave the city, when you're regarded as a traveler, but that's the two main shurut. That's the two main shurut. So you have to leave before dawn, and the distance you're traveling one way must be 80 kilometers. So don't say you're going to go to Grabouw and back. It's 80 kilometers, you can break your fast. One way only. Your destination must be 80 kilometers. 80 kilometers. No. So he says if one leaves after dawn, one is not entitled to omit the fast. It is preferable for travelers not to fast if fasting would harm them. Though if not, then fasting is better. So this is a question many people ask. So mashallah, people travel, they ask, Sheikh, traveling tomorrow, should I fast or shouldn't I fast? Right? Why is there a concession made for a person that is fasting? Rasul Sallallahu said that for traveling is a qit'ah min al-adhab. It's a piece of punishment. That's a literal translation. But that's when the Rasul Sallallahu had to travel. In those days, camel and sun, and nowadays, mashallah, people travel to Johannesburg, 1,000 kilometers, yes. But 2 hours, they sit in a plane, nicely sit, aircon, traveling. Must they break their fast now? Can they break fast? Yes, they can. What is better? So they ask, must I break my fast now or not? So we tell them, if you're going to fast, and you feel like it's going to become difficult for you, and you're going to cause yourself a bit of harm and difficulty, then it's better for you to break your fast. But if not, then it's better for you to fast. Now, fasting in the month of Ramadan is not like fasting outside the month of Ramadan. No. So that's the shurut for a person, for when fasting becomes wajib on a person. No. When it becomes wajib. So if one of these are missing, then the person does not have to fast. So if you look at it, a Muslim person, he's mukallaf, he has the ability, mashallah, he has no sickness, he's a good age, healthy, but he's a traveler. Is it wajib for him to fast? No, it's not wajib for him to fast. Can he fast? Yes, he can. Will it be valid if he fast? Yes, it will be valid if he fast. No. So another person, a Muslim person, not mukallaf. Not mukallaf, mumayyiz, has the ability, healthy, he's a muqim. Is it wajib? No, it's not wajib. Can he fast? Yes, he can fast. Will it be valid if he's mumayyiz and he fulfills all the conditions? I mean, it doesn't break his fast and he fulfills all the integrals? Yes, his fast will be valid. And like that, in any of the chapters where they mention conditions, all of the conditions has to be there in order for that particular chapter to be applied to that person. And now we're going to one of the main chapters in this section of the book, which is the integrals of fasting. The integrals of fasting of Ramadan are 3. Only 3. Number 1 is to make an intention at night for each day of the fard fast. Now, a niyyah is compulsory whether the fasting is fard or not, even for a sunnah fast. And it has to be made during the evening. Therefore it says to make an intention at night. That's called tabyeet. It has to be made during the evening. And like we mentioned previously, a fard fast is not only restricted to Ramadan, it can be qada. So female or male that's making qada, he has to make his intention during the evening. For every single day of his qada, or for every single fard fast, he has to make a separate intention. And this is particularly in the Shafii madhab. Why? Because they mention that every day is a ibadah, an act of worship, separate from yesterday's ibadah. What breaks yesterday from today is the fact that we were eating during the evening. We're enjoying ourselves. Puba and faluda and coffee and tea and samosas and all the stuff. And now the next day is a new day of ibadah. So every day you must make a new intention. That's in our madhab. However, they say to practice precaution is to make an intention on the first night of Ramadan for the entire month. Just in case you miss one intention, one night. And this is valid according to the Maliki madhab. The madhab of Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala. So he said it suffices for you to make the first night. Oh Allah, I intend to fast the entire month of Ramadan, every day, fard fast for the sake of Allah, for your sake. Valid according to the madhab of Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala. And according to Abu Hanifa, you can make intention even after Fajr. Right, Uncle Ismail? Even after Fajr until Dahwatul Kubra, just before Zawal, if I'm not mistaken, you can make an intention. So our teacher said, Ahmad, he said that fasting Ramadan is valuable. So you're going to put in all the contingency plan must be well planned out. So the first thing you're going to do is the first night you're going to make intention for the entire month. Secondly, you're going to make intention every single night. And if for one day you forget to make it during the evening and you wake up, oversleep for suhoor, after that then wake up, oh subhanallah, didn't make my intention. Make your intention according to the Hanafi madhab. So it's valid according to the Hanafi madhab. Then he said, and on top of that, pay qada afterwards. After Ramadan, make it as another day of qada just in case. But obviously that's not if you want to be very cautious in what you do. However, like I mentioned, even the Maliki madhab suffices to make one intention at the beginning of the month, and that suffices. So he says here, intention at night for each day of a fard. And that's a beautiful practice that we have not only in Cape Town, even though we are very used to this tradition in Cape Town after Ramadan, after Witr, Nawaitu, Sawma Ghadin. It's a beautiful practice to remind everyone to make the intention. They do it in Tarim also, but they don't do it like we do it. The Imam will just say, Aqidu niyatu sawm, make your intention for sawm, then everyone keep quiet and they make the intention. We say the whole intention. Nawaitu sawma ghadin an adai fardi shahr Ramadan هذه السنة لله تعالى إيمانا واحتسابا لوجه الله الكريم عز وجل. عز وجل, that is actually mentioned in the books. That he mentioned in the Hash of I'anat al-Talibin, one of the books in the Shafee Madhab. He said, no, to add Azza wa Jal is also recommended. Azza wa Jal. The meaning is Azza wa Jal is actually attributed, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be glorified. Allah is great, high and glorified. Because we're saying, li wajihillah, for the sake of Allah, and then we say Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal. No. So what's okay, it says the intention at night for each day of the fard fast. Now, why does he mention fard fast? Because what is excluded here is a sunnah fast. The sunnah fast, the duration or the time slot for you to make your intention extends until Zawal. So if we were to fast now, maybe the 15th of Sha'ban, for those who want to fast, or the days of the white days, but we in the white days now, the 13th, 14th, 15th. If a person were to miss his intention during the evening, oversleeps for suhoor, wakes up after Fajr, can he make his intention? Yes, he can make his intention until Zawal even. Until Zawal, until Dhuhr. On condition he never ate anything or never done anything that will break his fast. So if he never ate, never drank, never done anything that would break his fast, and then he can wake up after Fajr even and make his intention to fast, and he can fast. That's why he particularly says here, for the days of a fard fast. A fard fast, according to the opinion in the Shafii madhab, you can't make a niyyah after Fajr. Oh, what must you do then? If you didn't put your contingency plan in place, what must you do now? Must that day? You must still keep, you can't eat. You must make imsak. And the day won't be counted for you. Make qada. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. To make an intention in the night. Okay? So what is the shortest intention that we can make? The shortest intention we can make? Nawaitu sawma ghadin. That's the shortest. Or nawaitu sawma Ramadan. Do we have to say fard Ramadan? You don't have to say fard Ramadan. Why? Because Ramadan won't be except fard. You can't fast a sunnah day in Ramadan. You can't say, no, tomorrow is Monday, I'm going to fast sunnah. No, you can't, it's fard, you must fast Ramadan fard. Right? So Ramadan won't be except fard. So you don't have to say fard Ramadan. You can say, nawaitu sawm ghadin shahr Ramadan, or nawaitu sawm Ramadan. Also, another frequently asked question is, can you join intentions? 6 days of Shawwal, for persons that are making qada, can he join his intentions or not? After Ramadan. Can he join? He can join. He can join his intentions. And this is most of the scholars say he can join. Meaning if he had qada in Ramadan, and then it comes to the 6th day of Shawwal, can he intend to make qada and the 6th day of Shawwal? Yes, he can. Though what he won't get, what he won't receive, is that special reward that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in the hadith. So there's two separate matters over here. The one thing is fasting, paying in your qada, and fulfilling a sunnah fast in the days of Shawwal. That's the first matter. The second matter is there's a special reward that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in the hadith, when he said that the person that completes Ramadan and then he follows it up with 6 days of Shawwal, he gets the reward of an entire year of fasting. That special reward he won't get, or she won't get, unless or until they complete their qada, then fast 6 days of Shawwal. Everybody with me? Why? Because Rasulullah said the one who fasts Ramadan, then he follows it up with 6 days of Shawwal, he receives the reward of fasting an entire year. So everyone says, "Oh, year of fasting." You can do the calculation. 30 days plus 6, 36. Rasulullah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ جَاءَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ فَلَهُ عَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. The one who does one good deed, Allah multiplies by 10. So you have 30 plus 6, 36 times 10, 360. 360, huh? And in the lunar calendar, you don't have 5. That 5 extra days you don't have. Why? Because it's only 30 days a month. Subhanallah. So that's it. We can carry on next week. The number 2 requires a lot of detail that we need to go through. What breaks the fast, what we need to refrain from. We can speak about frequently asked questions over the injections, asthma pumps, nasal spray, eye drops, all these other things that you ask. Inshallah, we can cover that next week. Inshallah ta'ala, may Allah grant us tawfiq and hidayah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to reach Ramadan fi khair wa lutf wa afiyah. بسر أسرار الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين.